The Galactic Dominion War Council floated in open space, locked above a dying blue star. The station was older than most civilizations. Its walls were built from the remains of conquered worlds. Every mark on its metal surface told a story of victory. The Dominion had ruled the galaxy for hundreds of thousands of years. They had crushed empires that thought themselves eternal. They had erased species whose names no longer existed in history. They decided war and peace with a single vote. Inside the council chamber, dozens of alien commanders sat in perfect order. Some were ancient warlords. Others were machine minds older than stars. All of them were calm, confident, bored. A hologram flickered to life in the center of the chamber. A small region of space glowed on the map. I cared in human space. For a moment, there was silence. Then the chamber filled with laughter. Low laughter, sharp laughter, mocking laughter. Humans, one commander said, his voice full of amusement, they are barely civilized. Another leaned forward. Young, divided, always fighting each other. A third added, emotion-driven, weak in deep space warfare. They spoke of humanity the way hunters spoke of small animals. One senior commander waved a claw dismissively. They argue among themselves more than they ever fight outsiders. The council agreed. Humans were not considered a threat. They were loud, unstable, always negotiating, always retreating. The Dominion decided to act. A formal warning was drafted and sent to Earth and its colonies. The message was cold and simple. Withdraw your fleets. Open your systems for inspection. Submit peacefully. The warning was broadcast across the galaxy. Every major power expected the same result. Human panic, emergency meetings, desperate diplomacy, public fear signals flooding the networks. But hours passed, then days, and something felt wrong. Human space went silent. No fear signals appeared. No distress calls. No evacuation fleets. Dominion sensors detected no large civilian movements. No crowded escape routes. No frantic trade traffic. Instead, something else appeared. Nothing. A junior scout officer stepped forward carefully. Human shipyards, he reported, are empty. The council laughed. They are dismantling their fleets, a commander said. They know resistance is useless. The scout continued, his voice steady but tense. Human trade lanes are closed. More laughter. They are hiding, another commander said. They always hide. The scout swallowed. Civilian traffic has vanished. Entire systems show no movement. The laughter slowed, not stopped, just quieter. One commander frowned. No refugees? The scout shook his head. No emergency broadcasts. No evacuation signatures. KAJU. No emergency broadcasts. No evacuation signatures. The council paused. It was strange. Every species reacted the same way to Dominion warnings. Fear first, chaos second, flight third. Humans had done none of it. Still, the council dismissed the concern. They are afraid, a senior commander declared. Fear makes them quiet. The meeting moved on. Then a sensor officer spoke. He did not raise his voice. He did not interrupt loudly. He simply stood. We have detected a fleet, he said. The chamber fell silent. What kind of fleet? A commander asked. The officer adjusted the hologram. A new image appeared. A formation of ships moved through space with perfect alignment. The fleet was massive, not scattered, not rushed, not chaotic, perfectly organized, moving directly toward the Dominion border. The council leaned forward. Human ships were usually messy in formation, inconsistent in design, built by different factions with different styles. This fleet was different. What human faction is responsible? One commander asked. The officer hesitated. It does not match any known human fleet registry. The hologram zoomed in. The ships were large, smooth, silent, no visible weapons, no bright signals. Strange symbols marked their hulls, symbols no one recognized. A low murmur spread through the chamber. Perhaps allies? Someone suggested. The officer shook his head. No foreign signatures, no escort fleets, only human markers. The fleet continued moving, slow, deliberate, unstoppable. One commander narrowed his eyes. Why no communication? The officer answered quietly. They are not broadcasting anything. No threats, no warnings, no demands, just motion. The Dominion had faced many enemies before. They had faced desperate fighters, fanatics, last stands. But this was different. This fleet was not charging. It was not hiding. It was advancing as if the outcome was already decided. An ancient warlord, silent until now, finally spoke. Humans are not acting afraid. The chamber felt colder. A commander scoffed. Then what are they doing? The sensor officer did not answer immediately. When he did, his voice was barely above a whisper. They are deploying, as if this war began long before we noticed. The hologram showed the fleet crossing another invisible line in space. A border humans had never defended before. A border they had abandoned. The council realized something too late. Human space had not gone silent out of fear. It had gone silent because everything unnecessary was already gone. Families, civilians, trade ships. Only fleets remained, prepared, waiting. The Dominion believed humans were hiding. They were wrong. The Galactic Dominion did not panic. They never had. The War Council watched the human fleet move closer to the border. The ships stayed in perfect formation, their speed steady, their path direct. No messages were sent. No threats were spoken. That silence annoyed the Dominion more than any insult. They think silence makes them strong, one commander said. It makes them small. The council voted quickly. A limited strike was approved. Not a full war. Not an extermination. Just a reminder. A Dominion battle group was dispatched, old ships, but powerful ones. Ships that had destroyed worlds and broken empires long before humans learned how to leave their planet. The order was clear. Fire first. Crush their confidence. Force surrender. The Dominion fleet entered the border region with weapons charged and shields raised. Their commanders expected the human fleet to scatter. Humans always scattered, but the human ships did not move. They did not retreat. They did not break formation. They did not even change speed. The Dominion fleet locked weapons. A single cruiser fired. A bright beam cut through space and struck the lead human ship. The council waited for panic, for alarms, for broken formations, for desperate maneuvers. None came. The human ship absorbed the hit. Its hull glowed briefly, then dimmed. No damage report followed. No visible failure. The Dominion commander frowned. Fire again. Multiple beams struck the same ship. Then others. Energy weapons, kinetic rounds, missiles. The human ship slowed slightly, then stabilized. The rest of the fleet still did not react. They are stalling, the commander said. They are afraid to respond. He ordered a full volley. That was the moment everything changed. The human fleet moved, not fast, not wildly, with precision. Several human ships shifted position by small degrees, not enough to look dramatic, just enough to change angles. Then the Dominion fleet began to fail. One cruiser lost shields without warning. Another lost power to its weapons. A third drifted off course, engines locked. No explosions, no visible hits. Systems simply stopped working. Confusion spread through the Dominion formation. What is happening? A captain shouted. Diagnostics showed nothing wrong. Power levels were normal. Reactor output stable, yet weapons would not fire. Navigation commands delayed, then ignored. Then a Dominion destroyer vanished. Not exploded. Gone. Sensors showed a brief distortion like space folding inward. Then nothing. The human fleet still had not fired a visible weapon. The War Council went silent. This was not human behavior. Humans were emotional. Humans reacted loudly. Humans made mistakes. These humans were calm. Too calm. A Dominion admiral leaned forward. They are not attacking, he said slowly. They're executing. The human ships began to advance. As they moved, Dominion systems continued to fail, one by one. Communications dropped. Target locks vanished. Fleet coordination collapsed. The Dominion commanders tried to regroup. Fall back and realign, one ordered. The order never reached half the fleet. Human ships passed through the broken formation without chasing. They ignored damaged ships, ignored drifting vessels. They targeted only command ships, only leaders. A Dominion flagship tried to retreat. Its engines shut down. The ship froze in space. A single human vessel moved closer. Still no message. Still no warning. Then the human ship fired. Not a beam, not a missile, a pulse. The flagship's hull cracked apart silently, as if pulled from the inside. The council felt something they had not felt in thousands of years. Uncertainty. They are controlling the battle, a warlord whispered. They planned this. A junior officer checked long-range sensors. Human reinforcements detected, he said. How many? A commander demanded. The officer hesitated. All of them. The human fleet expanded across the border region. More ships appeared from angles the Dominion had not considered, not from hyperspace lanes, not from known jump points. They arrived as if space itself had opened paths only for them. The Dominion fleet was no longer fighting. It was surviving. A retreat order was finally issued, the first in Dominion history. Human ships did not pursue far. They stopped at the border. They let the damaged Dominion ships flee. A message finally arrived. One sentence. No anger. No pride. Just fact. This engagement is complete. Further advance will not be. The War Council stared at the words. The Dominion had lost ships, lost control, lost certainty, and this was only a limited strike. One commander spoke the thought none wanted to admit. If this was restraint, he did not finish. No one needed him to. Because for the first time, the galaxy began to understand something terrifying. Humans had not fought to win. They had fought to demonstrate, and the demonstration was over. The Galactic Dominion did not celebrate survival. They had survived battles before. They had lost ships before, but they had never retreated. Inside the War Council chamber, no one laughed. The dying blue star outside the station pulsed slowly, its light washing across silent faces. The human fleet had stopped at the border. They did not chase. They did not threaten. They simply waited. That waiting frightened the Dominion more than weapons ever had. The High Archivist entered the chamber. This alone was unusual. The Archivist rarely appeared in person. He guarded knowledge older than the Dominion itself, records sealed after wars no one liked to remember. The Council has requested historical analysis, he said. Begin immediately, a commander ordered. The Archivist activated an ancient data core. The hologram shifted, replacing the battlefield with faded symbols and broken timelines. These records are restricted, the Archivist warned. They were erased from common history. Why? A warlord asked. The Archivist paused. Because they describe a war the galaxy barely survived. The first images appeared. Not stars, not fleets, ruins. Entire regions of space marked as dead zones. Systems with no life, no planets, no debris. Long before the Dominion rose, the Archivist began. The galaxy was ruled by many powers. None were stable. All fought endlessly. A new name appeared on the screen, not written in any modern language. Translated slowly, Wayak, Armanity. The Council reacted at once. That is impossible, a commander snapped. Humans are young. That is what history claims, the Archivist replied. He opened another file. Humans were not young. They were new, to returning. The images changed. Ancient human ships filled the display. Not the ships seen at the border. Older, roofer, brutal in design. These humans did not fight for territory, the Archivist said. They fought for survival. The record showed war after war. Human fleets destroyed, rebuilt, then destroyed again. Yet they kept returning. They lost planets, the Archivist continued. They lost billions. They lost wars. A commander leaned forward. Then how did they survive? The Archivist looked at him. They learned. The display shifted again. Human technology evolved rapidly, faster than any other species on record. They adapted to enemy weapons, the Archivist said. They copied strengths. They removed weaknesses. One record showed humans retreating from the galaxy's core. They did not flee in fear, the Archivist said. They withdrew by choice. The Council felt unease grow. Why leave after winning? A warlord asked. They did not win, the Archivist replied. They endured. The record revealed something worse. Humans stopped conquering, stopped expanding. They began hiding. They erased their own victories, destroyed records, planted false histories. They wanted the galaxy to forget them, the Archivist said. Why? A commander demanded. The Archivist answered softly. Because when humans fight without restraint, the galaxy burns. Silence filled the chamber. Another file opened. A warning, written by an extinct species. Translated words appeared. If humanity ever returns to war, do not provoke them. They do not fight to rule. They fight to finish. The War Council exchanged uneasy looks. These records were sealed, a commander said. Why were they never used? Because the Dominion rose after humanity withdrew, the Archivist replied. You inherited a quiet galaxy that had already been shaped by human wars. A junior officer interrupted. New human transmission detected. The chamber froze. The message appeared. No threats, no demands, only data, star maps, battle logs, human records of the recent engagement, perfectly detailed. They are showing us everything, a commander whispered. They are showing us what? Another asked. The archivist studied the data. They are showing us that they held back. The logs revealed unused weapons, unactivated fleets, entire human formations never deployed. They sent only enough force to stop us, the archivist said. No more. A final human note appeared at the end of the transmission. Short, calm. This is not a war yet. The meaning struck the council hard. This battle was a warning, a test. Humanity was measuring the Dominion. One commander finally spoke the truth. We declared war on a species that already survived the worst the galaxy could offer. The human fleet remained at the border, silent, watching, waiting. The Dominion understood now. Humans were not weak. They were restrained. And restraint was the most dangerous trait of all. Because when restraint ends, there is nothing left to stop what comes next. The human fleet did not move. It stayed at the border, silent and still, like a wall made of metal and patience. Inside the Galactic Dominion War Council, fear began to replace pride. Not loud fear, not panic, the quiet kind, the kind that settles in the mind and refuses to leave. The Dominion had learned the truth too late. Humans were not reacting to events. They were following a plan written long before this war began. A senior commander broke the silence. We must strike again, he said, before they decide to end this. Others turned toward him. For the first time, an ancient warlord replied slowly, we do not know what ending this means. Still, the Dominion could not accept weakness. Their rule was built on fear. If the galaxy saw them hesitate, everything would break. The order was given. A full-scale offensive, not a warning, not a test. War. Dominion fleets gathered from across controlled space. Hundreds of ships moved toward the human border. Weapons charged, crews prepared for total destruction. The galaxy watched. Neutral systems powered down beacons. Trade routes closed. Civilizations held their breath. Everyone expected chaos. Human panic. Human rage. Human desperation. None came. Instead, the human fleet began to move. Slowly, deliberately, as if the timing had already been decided. Human ships crossed the border. The moment they did, space itself seemed to change. Dominion sensors screamed with errors. Distances shifted. Signals delayed. Star maps became unreliable. This region is unstable, a Dominion navigator reported. No, another corrected him. It is controlled. Human ships advanced into Dominion territory, not randomly, not aggressively. They moved like surgeons. Precise. The first Dominion defense platform vanished. No explosion, no debris. It folded inward and disappeared. The second platform fired. Its weapons struck empty space. The human ships were already elsewhere. Dominion fleets tried to surround the humans. They failed. Human formations bent around them, separating command ships from escorts, one by one. A Dominion admiral shouted orders that never reached his fleet. Human interference blocked communication, but not completely, just enough to cause confusion, enough to make mistakes deadly. Human weapons activated, not all at once. One system at a time. Gravity fields twisted around Dominion ships, crushing internal structures without touching hulls. Time delay strikes hit ships seconds after they believed they were safe. Entire squadrons drifted helplessly as their crews realized nothing responded anymore. Still, the humans did not chase fleeing ships. They ignored them. They focused only on military control centers, only on fleets, only on power. Inside the War Council, a commander whispered, "They are dismantling us." Not destroying, dismantling. A new human transmission arrived. Again, calm. Again, short. Civilian systems will not be harmed. Military resistance will be removed. The message spread through the galaxy instantly. Neutral worlds reacted with shock. Humans were not burning worlds, not glassing planets, not targeting populations. They were fighting clean. That frightened the galaxy more than brutality ever could, because it showed restraint. And restraint meant control. Dominion fleets collapsed faster than expected, not because humans were stronger, but because humans understood war differently. They did not seek glory. They did not seek fear. They sought certainty, the certainty that the enemy could never rise again. A final Dominion line of defense formed near a major command world. The Council hoped desperately that this would slow the humans. It did not. Human fleets arrived from angles no one expected, not through known space lanes, not through jump points. They arrived as if space itself had opened doors only for them. The defense line broke in minutes. The command world surrendered without a fight. For the first time in Dominion history, a world fell without destruction. Human ships surrounded it, held position, waited. A single human envoy ship approached. A channel opened. A human voice spoke. Not loud, not proud, just tired. "We are not here to rule you," the voice said. "We are here to stop you." The Dominion leaders listened. "Helpless? You believed humans were weak because we argued," the voice continued. "You believed division meant failure. The fleet remained still." "In truth," the voice said, "division taught us survival." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, civilizations watched the Dominion fall. Not in fire, not in screams, but in silence. The human fleet did not cheer, did not advance further. They stopped, exactly where they had planned to stop. The War Council finally understood the real horror. Humanity was not fighting out of anger. They were enforcing a boundary. And boundaries only exist when someone is willing to defend them forever. The war was not over, but its direction was decided. And for the first time in its long history, the Galactic Dominion understood something it had never learned before. This war was no longer theirs to control. The war slowed, not because the humans were tired, not because the Dominion resisted. It slowed because the humans chose it to slow. Across the galaxy, systems went quiet. Worlds stopped trading. Fleets stayed docked. No one wanted to be noticed. Everyone was watching. Neutral civilizations observed the human advance with growing fear. They expected firestorms. They expected planets to burn. They saw none of that. Human fleets moved with control, with limits. When a Dominion military station surrendered, the humans stopped firing. When a fleet powered down its weapons, the humans passed it by. They destroyed only what continued to resist. Nothing more. "This is not conquest," a neutral observer said. "This is correction." Reports flooded galactic networks. Human fleets protected civilian shipping lanes. Human forces redirected evacuation ships away from battle zones. Human weapons avoided populated worlds, even when it would have been easier to strike them. The galaxy did not understand. Powerful species destroyed enemies completely. That was how order was maintained. Humans did something else. They removed the enemy's ability to fight. Then they stopped. In the Dominion's inner systems, panic spread. Military leaders argued. Governors demanded protection. Some tried to flee. Human fleets allowed them to go. That frightened the galaxy more than destruction ever could, because mercy meant choice. And choice meant humans were confident they would never be challenged again. Inside a neutral council chamber far from the war, representatives gathered in secret. They replayed the same recordings. The first engagement, the limited strike, the dismantling of fleets, the untouched civilian worlds. One representative finally spoke. "We were wrong about humans." Others nodded. "We thought they endured because they were weak," another said. "They endure because they can." Old historians began rereading forgotten texts. Ancient warnings resurfaced. One phrase appeared again and again. Humans survive, not because they are strongest, not because they are fastest, because they adapt, because they remember. A young species asked a dangerous question. If humans are this powerful, why did they ever hide? An elder answered quietly, because power without restraint destroys everything, including itself. The war reached its final stage. Dominion's Central Command was surrounded. Human fleets stopped just outside weapon range. No attack followed. A message was sent. Not a threat, an invitation. Stand down. The war ends here. Inside the Dominion Command Station, leaders argued. Some wanted to fight to the end. Others wanted to surrender. They looked at the tactical maps. Every path blocked. Every escape watched. No weakness to exploit. No rage to provoke. Human fleets waited. Hours passed. Then the Dominion transmitted its surrender. The galaxy froze. The Dominion had never surrendered, never negotiated from weakness. Humanity accepted the surrender. With conditions, the terms spread quickly. The Dominion would disband its war fleets. Occupied worlds would regain independence. No further expansion beyond agreed borders. No tribute, no revenge. Just limits. The galaxy struggled to understand. Why stop now? A neutral world received a human explanation. Simple, clear. We do not destroy what no longer threatens us. That sentence changed everything. The war ended without celebration. Human fleets withdrew from Dominion space. They returned to their borders. They did not claim territory, did not build bases, did not demand loyalty. They left behind something worse than fear. Memory. The memory of what happens when humanity decides it must act. Galactic powers adjusted their strategies overnight. Empires slowed expansion. Councils rewrote laws. Militaries rethought doctrine. Not because humans ordered it, because humans had shown what restraint could do. On one distant world, a historian recorded a final note. The galaxy believed humans were weak because they argued, retreated, and forgave. We now know the truth. Humans are dangerous because they choose not to use their full strength. Far away, human space returned to life. Trade resumed. Civilian traffic flowed. Shipyards opened again. To outside observers, it looked peaceful, normal. But the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. Because now everyone understood one simple fact. Humans do not seek war. But when war comes to them, they make sure it never returns. The galaxy did not celebrate the end of the war. There were no great festivals, no victory parades, no songs of triumph. There was only silence. The kind of silence that follows understanding. The Galactic Dominion no longer ruled the stars. Its fleets were gone. Its councils dissolved. Worlds once forced into obedience began choosing their own paths. And humanity returned home. Human fleets crossed back into their borders and powered down. Weapons were sealed. Formations broke apart. Ships dispersed to patrol routes and defense zones. To an outside observer, it looked as if nothing had happened. But the galaxy knew better. In neutral systems, leaders held emergency meetings. Ancient alliances were questioned. Military doctrines were rewritten from the ground up. One question echoed everywhere. How did we misunderstand humans so completely? For generations, humans had been described as weak, too emotional, too divided, too forgiving. They argued in public, disagreed openly, fought among themselves. The galaxy mistook noise for chaos. What it failed to see was control. Human arguments were not weakness. They were testing ideas. Human divisions were not failure. They were redundancy. If one group fell, another survived. If one plan failed, another replaced it. Humans had never relied on a single leader, a single fleet, or a single belief. They relied on endurance. In a distant archive, a historian from a neutral world reviewed the war records. He paused at one detail that others had missed. The humans had never used their largest fleets. Entire formations had remained inactive. Weapon systems listed as untested were never activated. The historian wrote a single line in his report. What we witnessed was not humanity at war. It was humanity choosing not to end one. That truth spread quietly, and it terrified everyone. On Earth, life continued. Cities rebuilt where needed. Governments argued as always. People disagreed, debated, protested. To humans, this was normal. To the galaxy, it was terrifying. Because a species that could fight with such unity and then return to disagreement without breaking apart, that species could never truly be destroyed. The remaining Dominion leaders were placed on trial by their own former subjects. Humans did not attend. They did not watch. They did not interfere. Justice was no longer their concern. They had already finished their task. One final message was added to the shared galactic database, written by humans. Short, simple. Humanity will not rule the galaxy. Humanity will not police it. But humanity will respond if forced. No threat followed, no promise. Just fact. Years passed. Borders stabilized. Wars became smaller. Empires hesitated before expanding. Every military academy added a new subject to its curriculum. Not tactics, not weapons, human behavior. Cadets studied the war again and again. The silence before the strike. The precision of the response. The moment humans stopped, that moment mattered most, because it proved the final truth. Humans were not the deadliest species because they loved war. They were the deadliest species because they knew exactly when war was necessary and when it was not. On a distant station near the old Dominion border, A young alien officer asked his mentor a question. If humans are so powerful, he said, why don't they control everything? The mentor answered after a long pause. Because control requires fear, he said, and humans have learned that fear never lasts. The officer frowned. Then what do humans rely on? The mentor looked out at the stars. Memory. The memory of what happens when humans are pushed too far. The memory of restraint ending. The memory of a species that argues loudly in peace and becomes terrifyingly quiet in war. The galaxy had learned its lesson, not through destruction, but through demonstration. And so the final record of the war ended with one sentence, archived forever in galactic history. The galaxy thought humans were weak until it declared war on them, and no one ever made that mistake